Welcome to the Three Questions webcast series. I'm Wayne Baxter, Senior Executive Manager with One Capital Management. One Capital Management, we develop and implement strategies that strive for our clients to grow, protect, and ultimately distribute their wealth. And we do that by offering investment wealth management services. Thank you for taking time to check us out. And if you enjoy this episode of the Three Questions webcast, please consider liking this video and subscribing to our YouTube channel. Now, my clients are often referred to as cross-border clients. Now, why would that be? Well, it's because they're either U.S. or Canadian residents who invest in U.S. and or Canadian dollar-denominated securities like stocks, bonds, and ETFs. Our process for advising our clients includes an in-depth discovery and diagnostic analysis of their wealth management goals and objectives. Wealth management is multifaceted and complex, and there are many different areas that need to be addressed and considered because many of these areas intersect with each other. For example, consider those who have a significant amount of their wealth in investment properties. In their case, a planning discussion ought to address current and future cash flow needs, estate planning, real estate, retirement and risk management planning, tax planning. In this episode of the webcast, we're going to address the three frequently asked questions about selling an investment property. On this edition of the webcast, we'll be asking the three questions you should ask about 1031 exchanges before you sell an investment property. Joining me is James Bean. He is a national 1031 exchange expert and vice president investment sales with LA-based SVN Rich Investment Real Estate Partners, part of the international SVN network of more than 200 plus offices nationwide and in 9 countries. James, great to see you. Great. Thank you for joining the webcast. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Wayne. I appreciate you thinking about me, and thank you very much for the opportunity.
Well, we have a bit of a history going back. We're trying to do little presentations and whatnot. And I've been wanting to do this with you for quite a while, and I really appreciate you making time for me. I remember during the opening of the webcast, I alluded to the complexity of wealth management. And this really does apply to those who have a portion and maybe a significant portion of their wealth and the ownership of investment properties. Regular reviewing and really it's really something we should be looking at is as a part of this process should be updating their cash flow needs, their estate and their retirement planning goals, their risk management strategy, their tax planning. All this should be really considered. It's really important if you're having a discussion in advance of the sale of a property. And, I can't think of a better person to have on my webcast than my friend James here. He is an expert in the 1031 exchange and commercial real estate business. So just to prove my point, before we get to our three questions, you have quite a history in real estate, James. I think it would be great for our audience to learn a little bit about you and just talk a little bit about your background in that area in real estate, going back, back to the last 20 some odd years. So maybe you can just give us a brief history of how you've evolved over the years in this industry.
Great. Thank you again. I've been involved with commercial real estate now for more than 27 years. In that time, I've completed more than 1,500 transactions, with nearly 400 of those being sales transactions, all totaling more than $1 billion in volume. I've been purely focused on investment sales since 2010, and I have successfully completed more than 60 1031 exchange transactions. In 2018, I heard an alarming statistic. In fact, Wayne, I think I may have even shared this with you at one of our lunches. More than 60% of all exchanges fail every year. It's a big number, and it's not a good number. It was then that I decided to focus on exchange buyer representation and launched Best 1031 Online in June of 2020.
We got a lot to unpack here, and and you know what? I think as we do a lot of times here on the webcast is we're going to start right at the basics. And, like I told you before, this is not intended to be your first and only appearance on the webcast. So we can get into more granular, as we would say, into the weeds, dare I say, down rabbit holes
Easy to do with this topic.
Yes, but we're going to start at the basics here on this edition of the webcast, and we're going to start, with the first three questions we should be asking about 1031 exchanges before you sell an investment property. The first one is really the obvious one, and we're starting really at a one-on-one level. So the first question is, of course, what is a 1031 exchange?
Perfect question to start off. So a 1031 exchange, also known as a like-kind exchange, it's a tax-deferred strategy used by real estate investors to defer paying tax on the sale of an investment property by reinvesting those proceeds into a similar property. So where it gets its name is it's actually Article 1031 of the Internal Revenue Code. Many people are actually surprised when they hear that, but that's where it got its name. And so under Section 1031 of the Internal Revenue Code, if certain requirements are met, an investor can defer paying taxes on the gain from the sale of a property if the proceeds are used to purchase another property of equal or greater value. So a quick example, if you sell an investment property for $2 million, regardless of the debt or anything that's involved with that sale, if you take the proceeds you have and go buy another investment property in $2 million or more, you can literally defer those capital gains. So quickly, a capital gain, that's the profit you make on a property, right? So if you sell, let's say you buy a property in 2000, 20 years ago, you bought an investment property for $1.5 million. Today, especially if you bought it in Southern California, it could be worth $3-4 million. Significant equity has been built up in that property. Gain of $2.5-3 million. If in most cases, based on federal and state tax combined, you're looking at a capital gains tax of more than 30% on that $3 million profit. So if you sell it and don't do an exchange, you're looking at a potential tax bill of more than $900,000 of your profit.
In the example that you just provided, yes.
Yes.
That's called a rude awakening, James, I think.
Yeah. So, the purpose of it is to encourage investment. It's encourage investment of real estate, not to, be punitive to the people that have done the right thing. They've invested their money. And for the people that invested in real estate, this gives them that opportunity to take that hard-earned equity that they've built over whatever amount of time and reinvest that into other properties. I mean, we can go on and on about the benefits of reinvesting your property to accumulate wealth.
Well, I think reinvesting is something we like to do here in equities and bonds as well. So you're preaching to the choir. The second question, and this is the one about perception. So question number 2 on the webcast today is, are 1031 exchanges intended only for, quote unquote, the super wealthy, ultra rich, or institutional real estate investor?
Yes. And really a great question, because it's actually a very common misconception. And the answer is no, it's not. The 1031 exchange is available to anyone or entity that has invested in a investment property. You notice I say investment property.
Yes.
A lot of people get confused and think it's only available for commercial property, which kind of ties into why people think it's just for the super wealthy, not for grandma who's owned a triplex for 45 years
and been renting it out.
Right. So it's investment property, not commercial property. You can have a single family home that's a rental, and if you make a significant profit on that property and sell it without an exchange, you're going to get nicked in capital gains tax. So investment property for investment property. I've actually represented clients where they had less than $200,000 to reinvest, saved them more than 80 grand in taxes, but
which for them was a big deal.
Yeah, absolutely. So I've got some interesting stats for you.
Fire away.
More than 50%, I'm sorry, 57, more than 57% of 1031 transactions are less than $1 million. More than 33% of them are less than 500,000.
Really?
Yeah. So
interesting.
It's not just for the super wealthy. It could be anybody that owns investment property has access to the 1031 exchange.
Okay, so the third question, I know we've kind of alluded to a couple examples already, but I'm sure you'll be able to even provide some more color. The third question is, why should I consider a 1031 exchange?
Yes, another great question. And I know it was tough for us to come up with these three questions. I could have said, you know what, we can talk about 10 different questions, but no, here's why they should consider it. First and foremost is the tax deferral. Again, if you make $1 million in profit, why would you want to give up a third of that, right? And it's not about paying your fair share of taxes. That's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about, hey, you did everything right and made $1 million on a property. You should do what it takes to maintain 100% of that equity to your benefit. In fact, you can completely defer those taxes, because if you continue to exchange or hold on to that exchange property until you pass, those taxes go away. They do not pass on to your heirs.
The step up in basis.
Right.
Well,
not just the step up in basis is towards the value.
Right.
Taxes deferred go away upon your pass.
Okay, fair.
Another thing is your exposure to other markets, other product types. So quickly, again, the people that own multifamily properties, this is the most common asset class owner / investor that they think that they cannot exchange because they have to buy another apartment building. They get that like kind exchange, and that's not necessarily true. As I said, investment for investment. So to get exposure to other markets, for those people that have owned multifamily, especially here in California, and being punished by California legislation with rent control and other things that literally take the money out of the pockets of the investors, they can sell those and exchange into very passive, no hands-on type properties while still maintaining all that equity and deferring those capital gains taxes. Number 3, portfolio diversification. A lot of people think that if they exchange in from one property, they can only exchange into one property. Not true. You can exchange into as many properties as you wish. In other words, you could sell one big multifamily apartment complex. Say you've got a 15-unit complex, it's going to sell for $6, $7, $8 million. You can go buy 8 $1 million properties if you wish. So you can get very diversified in your investment market instead of just owning one single asset class.
I got an idea for you. I'm going to run something by you.
Okay.
I've
got one more other thing to
but
consider.
I want to run this idea by you in that context. We'll get through the rest of but I want to run this one by you.
Okay.
Can a person who owns a principal residence, who wants to, like they're in the same scenario, they've owned a property in California for an extended period of time, or anywhere across the United States, quite frankly, and they have a significant capital gain in that property. And I know they get a $500,000 exemption for a couple, but still big tax bill.
Mm-hmm.
In theory, could they say, we're going to move out of this property, and for 2 years, we're going to rent this property, and we're going to legitimately rent it out for 2 years? Could they then, after say 2 years or maybe longer, would that property qualify if they were to then sell it and then buy another investment property?
The answer is yes.
Interesting.
So, and I'm glad that you actually unpacked that pretty well. So I want to acknowledge you for how you unpack that, because
Thank you, James.
moving out of it and renting it out, you said 2 years, that's the key, because
I
the
did a little homework
IRS,
in preparing for our meeting today. Can you believe that?
hey, with your radio background, I'm not at all surprised.
Thank you. Thank you.
So, anyways, all the IRS is concerned about is the intent, right? So if your intent was with that property to buy it or sell it, it was for investment purposes, then it qualifies. So yes, if they have, in fact, I've just this year, because Southern California residential real estate's gone off the charts, right? So there's been several couples that have contacted me and say, hey, I don't want to pay the tax. I've made more than $3 million in my house. Can I move out of it, rent it out for a couple of years, and then sell it and exchange into another investment property? Yes. Now, there's a lot of people that think that they can do that and go buy another house, which you can, and there are ways to work with your CPA and plan that you move out for 2 years, have it be rented, sell it, exchange into a vacation home, and then hold on to that as a rental for a couple of years, and then ultimately move into that house.
Or another strategy.
Possible. It just takes a lot of planning.
Or another strategy could be, you could take those proceeds and buy a multi-unit property, rent out, keep one to live in, and rent out the other 2 or 3 or 4.
Actually, no, you can't.
Oh, you cannot. No. You have to rent them all out. You have to rent out.
Yeah, if you buy a property, something that's a residential type property, whether it's for vacation or multi-unit, you can only stay in one of those units or in the property for a total of 14 days per year.
Interesting. That's why we have the experts on here. James, you're my man. Okay, so now that I've successfully interrupted you off of your list, please proceed.
Yeah, so really the last one after portfolio diversification it's a great opportunity to build multi-generational wealth. Many people that have owned investment properties for many, many years, their plan is we're just going to give it to the kids. Well, I find that when they have that conversation with kids, even though that's always been the plan, 9 times out of 10, the kids don't want the property. They want the cash, right? So I show them strategies to where, look, don't think that you're just going to, pass on that asset to them when you die. Instead, why don't you take advantage of and maximize that equity now? I will, in most cases, I will increase your annual yield and then set up with your estate planner. If you have 2 kids, we'll get 2 properties, 3 kids, 3 properties, 4 kids, 4 properties. Now they all get their own property upon your pass. And now they have the opportunity to use the same strategies that I've shown with you to build multi-generational wealth for the rest of the family tree. It's really a beautiful vehicle.
And so one thing I want to clarify for the folks listening in or watching today, because we have folks all over the United States and Canada here that watch this webcast. I realize that you're here in beautiful Southern California, but are you able to work with clients regardless of whether they are located here across the country?
Yes, and thank you so much for asking me that question. Yes, because of the SVN platform, I am able to transact in all 50 states.
Perfect. Well, James, we've included your contact information for the folks watching and listening in. Now, I won't be surprised that probably going to be somebody's going to want to reach out to you for more information. So what is the best way for them to reach you? Is it by phone, by email? Like, how should they contact you?
Well, the simple thing is for them to go to my website. Have them go visit www.best1031online.com. All my contact information is there. That's the best way to go. It's chock full of information, including a glossary of terms, It really is. In all my blogs, I post a couple blogs a month on this product. I too am getting ready to launch a YouTube channel just purely on exchange education. So that's really the easiest and best way. And like I said, my email is there, my numbers are there, both office and mobile. Feel free to call me there. That's the best way to get in touch.
James, I want to thank you for making time out of your day here to join us on the 3 questions webcast series. Really appreciate it. And we'll no doubt, we're going to have you back and we'll dig a little deeper into this discussion, and much appreciated.
Thank you, Wayne. As always, I appreciate your company. I love your wisdom, and I'm just grateful to be in your sphere.
You're very kind. James.bean is a national 1031 exchange expert and vice president investment sales with LA-based SVN Rich Investment Real Estate Partners, which is part of the international SVN network of more than 200 plus offices nationwide and 9 countries. I look forward to bringing you the 3 questions webcasts, and I hope you find them educational and informative. Please consider liking this video and subscribing to our YouTube channel. And to receive notification of when our latest webcast has been posted, please click on the notifications bell. Lastly, to schedule an online Zoom consultation with me to discuss your wealth management needs, please click on the link in the description box below, www.onecapital.com/meet with Wayne. Thank you, and see you soon.